2,000 years ago, Rome had periods too. But how did Roman women manage them? The answer is stranger than expected. Rome left thousands of written records behind. Doctors wrote about women's bodies extensively, but everyday period care stayed mostly invisible. There's no Roman instruction manual. No surviving guide explains exactly what happened, so we have to investigate the clues. And those clues come from medicine, clothing, and archaeology. The Romans documented almost everything important to them: taxes, births, deaths, marriages, military service. Doctors recorded symptoms and treatments too. Women appear throughout Roman medical writing, yet ordinary menstrual routines rarely appear. That silence itself tells us something. Ancient writers were mostly educated men. They recorded diseases, fertility, pregnancy, and childbirth. Daily household routines were rarely considered noteworthy. The missing details must be reconstructed carefully. Then comes Serenus, Rome's famous gynecological physician. He practiced medicine during the Roman Empire. His writings survived through later copies, and he discussed menstruation in remarkable detail. He described signs before menstruation began. He mentioned heaviness, pain, nausea, and fatigue. He treated menstruation as a bodily process, not simply as something mysterious or supernatural. But Serenus never gives us one simple answer. That makes the evidence frustratingly fascinating. Now comes a practical question everyone asks. What actually absorbed menstrual blood in Rome? The safest answer is probably cloth. Small pieces could be washed and reused. Roman clothing already used woven textiles everywhere. Wool was another abundant textile material, but evidence for menstrual wool remains uncertain. Roman doctors definitely used wool medically. That proves the material was available. It does not prove routine menstrual use. Rome was surrounded by textiles and clothing. Linen existed across the Mediterranean world. Wool was especially important throughout Roman society. Clothing was repaired, reused, and repurposed constantly. Nothing useful was casually thrown away. Old fabric could become household material. A small absorbent cloth required no invention. The technology already existed inside every household. The simplest solution may have been obvious, but archaeology rarely preserves such ordinary objects. Reusable cloth would have required regular washing. Roman households already washed clothing frequently. Public laundries also existed across Roman cities. Water was central to Roman daily life. Aqueducts supplied enormous quantities of clean water. Fountains provided convenient neighborhood water sources. Cloth could be rinsed and dried. Sunlight made drying surprisingly practical. The process was repetitive, ordinary, and invisible. Exactly the kind of thing history forgets, but will create an interesting Roman mystery. Roman medical writers repeatedly mention wool. Sometimes they recommend it for female conditions. Wool could carry oils, herbs, and medicines. It could also be shaped into pessaries. That sounds suspiciously similar to period products. But similar does not mean identical. The original purpose may have been completely different. History demands that distinction. So we should call wool possible, not certain. Roman doctors considered menstruation medically important. They connected it with female reproductive health. A missing period could signal pregnancy. Excessive bleeding could become a medical concern. Doctors also discussed unusually absent menstruation. Treatments sometimes involved herbs and preparations. Some methods attempted to restart menstruation. Others attempted to reduce excessive bleeding. Ancient medicine mixed observation with flawed theories, yet some observations were surprisingly systematic. Then Roman beliefs about menstrual blood get strange. Pliny recorded extraordinary claims about menstruation. Some stories blamed menstrual blood for disasters. Others claimed it possessed medicinal powers. Storms, crops, insects, animals all entered these stories. These claims reveal cultural anxiety surrounding blood. But Pliny was recording beliefs, not proving them. That distinction matters enormously when studying Rome. Roman medicine contained science and superstition together. Sometimes the boundary between them disappeared completely. Roman bathing culture changes the practical picture. Romans were famous for public bathing. Bathhouses offered water, washing, and social space. Women also used bathing facilities in Rome. Personal cleanliness was part of daily life. But bathing did not automatically mean menstrual management. We should avoid inventing routines without evidence. Still, washing reusable cloth was completely practical. Water and textiles were readily available. The basic logistics were never impossible. Most Roman women were not medical patients. They were mothers, workers, wives, daughters, and slaves. Their daily lives rarely entered written history. Elite women left more surviving evidence behind. Poor women left almost none. That makes universal Roman period routines impossible. Different classes had different access to textiles. Different households had different washing arrangements. Some women probably managed quietly at home. Others simply adapted to whatever materials existed. And then there was pregnancy. Pregnancy meant menstruation temporarily disappeared. Breastfeeding could delay its return too. Roman women experienced repeated pregnancies and nursing that changed how often periods occurred. Modern assumptions cannot simply be projected backward. Their reproductive lives follow different rhythms. A period could carry important information. Its absence could suggest pregnancy. Its return could signal fertility again. Here is where the evidence becomes frustrating. We cannot identify one universal Roman method. There was probably no single standard product. Cloth is plausible, but rarely documented directly. Wool is documented, but mostly medically. Some women may have used nothing absorbent. Others may have improvised household textiles. Social class probably changed available choices. Regional customs probably changed them too. The honest answer is uncertainty. So the real story is not one product. It is how ordinary materials solved ordinary problems. Rome had cloth, wool, water, and medicine. Women adapted those resources to everyday life. Doctors discussed menstruation when medically relevant. Writers attached myths and fears to blood. Households handled practical problems without leaving manuals. And most of those solutions disappeared. Not because they were unimportant, because ordinary life rarely gets preserved. So, how did Roman women handle periods? Probably with practical materials already around them. Cloth is the strongest everyday possibility. Wool may also have played some role, but certainty would be dishonest here. Roman doctors understood menstruation as biologically important. Roman writers surrounded it with strange beliefs, and ordinary women simply kept living. Their solutions were practical, private, and mostly forgotten, until tiny clues brought their world back.